Thank you very much, Alan, and thank you everyone for joining us today. I see folks here on the webinar from across the state and on the teleconference line from across California. So I'm very excited to have you all here with us today. Welcome to the Systems Change Network's training, which is developing trainings and workshops. And you can visit us on the web at www.scnetca.org. Also, organizing on the web, the Systems Change Network has a Facebook page. Just search SCNet and it will come up. We're on Twitter at SCNetwork, and we're even on Yelp at SCNetCA, where we Yelp about the accessibility and accommodations of different businesses. So restaurants, shops, things like that. So check us out on Yelp, and our name on Yelp is SCNetCA. All right, thank you for joining us today, and now we're going to introduce you to our presenters. Myself, I'm Ted Jackson, the statewide community organizer for CFILC, which stands for California Foundation for Independent Living Centers. I come with experience in campaigns and nonprofits and organizing around the country, and I'm very excited about today's training because this really is the core of organizing, training our teams so that we can grow our team larger, so that we can train and trust others to take on responsibility in our advocacy work. And I want to introduce you to Cynde Soto. Cynde Soto is a systems change advocate that I work with. She's a wonderful colleague and a friend. And Cyd, as she goes by, is a native Californian born with arthrogryposis, a connective tissue disorder that significantly limits her physical movement. After graduating from California State University, Long Beach, with a BFA in art, she worked at Disability Resource Center in Long Beach, where she also began to volunteer with Long Beach Transit. Accessible transportation has been a passion for Cyd and motivator for her advocacy. Currently, she is one of the systems change advocates for CalLife, Communities Actively Living Independent and Free in Central Los Angeles, where she is a council member of the Metro MTA Gateway Cities Region Council. And one of Cyd's many interests include producing artwork made of found objects. So Cyd, welcome. How are you today?
Good morning, Ted. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Can you tell us a little bit about the found objects artwork?
Well, okay, sure. I find broken or discarded items that people, just think are trash, and I collect them, put them together in a collage. And for me, it's a metaphor for people with disabilities in that people see us as broken. They just sort of discard us and don't think that we're useful for anything. But, of course we are. And so that's pretty much why I chose found object art, because I can really relate to putting broken things together, like society thinks is broken, and put them together and make something beautiful out of it.
Cool. I like that. And I also want to move us on here and welcome Dina Garcia, who is another friend and systems change advocate, a colleague of mine. And Dina started working as a systems change advocate at CalLife in 2011, and her passion lies not only in advocacy, but acting as well, which interests me because 10 years ago I was a professional actor, so Dina and I have that in common. Dina's role as an actress began at the age of 3 when she was chosen to be the poster child for United Cerebral Palsy. Her acting credits include a CBS movie of the week called Mary and Rose White and the TV show Knots Landing that was popular in the 80s and 90s. As Dina got older, her role changed from actress to advocate when she encountered discrimination in junior and senior high school due to her disability. She had to fight for the right to go to her neighborhood high school, a move discouraged by some faculty members. She wound up graduating with honors. Dina's advocacy skills continued at Cal State University Northridge, where she was president of the Students with Disabilities Connection. She also served for 2 years on the Los Angeles City Commission on Disabilities under Mayor James Hahn. As commissioner, Dina worked to install an audio signal on a bus on a busy street to ensure the safety of visually impaired pedestrians. After taking a 6-year break from working in order to be a stay-at-home mom to her son, Dina has now picked up where she left off as a systems change advocate at Cal Life. She is very happy working with the other passionate advocate, Cynde. Together they are trying to change the system in order to accommodate the needs of those with disabilities. And welcome, Dina.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
How are you today, Dina?
I'm very good, thank you.
Great. And so you were on Knott's Landing, huh?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, folks, those are our presenters today, and I'm going to move us along to our agenda. Today's agenda is going to be a discussion format, similar to some other trainings that we've done. A lot of questions and answers, and we're going to hear about the experience that Dina and Cynde have had in forming their own advocacy class. So developing their own training and workshops, and we're going to hear about their experience, which will include logistics, conducting the trainings, reflections, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about some national models that have been used in Train the Trainer, and then we'll have time for questions and answers and wrap up by 11:30 today. All right, we also have handouts that go along with today's training, and Alan's going to send those handouts to everyone right now. It's actually a one-page handout, and it includes an outline of the training if you'd like to take notes. It also includes some supplemental materials that are built in. And we'll just give a moment for everyone. You should see a dialog box on your screen asking you to accept the handouts. And for those on the teleconference line, if you email me, I can send you the handout as well after the training. And my email is Ted, that's T-E-D, at cfilc.org. So, developing an advocacy training is really, really an important part to expanding the reach of your advocacy and expanding the message for your audience and the general public. We know that it's very important that we activate people with disabilities, but we also know it's important that we educate the general public about the priorities for people with disabilities. And today we're going to explore that process. When we first took information from the Systems Change Network and members of the network that they wanted a training in how to develop workshops and trainings that they could replicate, I started working with some of the advocates and putting together, we could do this model, trainings on this and that, and then it became really apparent after talking with Cynde and Dina that they had really already employed some of those models to create their own class. And so I thought it would be a really great opportunity for us to hear from them and see their experience, and really all of those models would be talked about in an interview with them. And so that's what we're going to be doing today, and that's what we're going to be talking about. So, everyone has to get a start, and I'm really curious, but we're going to start interacting now with Cynde and Dina. And Dina, how did you get started? How did you start all this?
Well, Cynde and I were talking one day, and we realized that we wanted to start an advocacy team. And we didn't know how to get this going to make sure that the consumers stay active, because we know how important it is to get more advocates involved. So we started talking together about how to get more consumers involved in the way that will keep them coming back. And to get them involved in the larger, we needed a larger political voice.
That's great that you started out with, a vision for the future and, you know, a group of people that you wanted to really connect to. So Sid, how did you get the idea to begin to do a training series?
Well, Dina and I have been going to trainings done by other organizations, and we knew we had to increase our volunteer and advocacy base. And of course, the best way to do that is to educate them on their civil rights and to educate them on the different systems that they're involved with. So we knew that a class would be the best way to accomplish that in with a minimal amount of energy and with a great outcome.
And what experiences did you both draw from?
Well, we got our experiences from past trainings that we've gone to training with California Partnership here, and we saw a lot of these trainings and thinking that that to be a wonderful foundation to be to impact on our consumers and to be a good start to get them involved.
Yes, we attended 3 different trainings earlier in the year. Another training that I had that Dina was not able to attend was a leadership academy done by Housing Long Beach. And so we drew a lot of information and handouts and such from the 3 different trainings we took earlier in the year. And we knew that, hey, if they can do it, so can we.
That's great. That's really awesome. I really applaud that optimism. So the next question is for Dina. Dina, what was the first thing you considered in beginning to plan your trainings?
Well, Sid and I knew we wanted to educate the consumer, not only in the background of who they are as a person with a disability, but how to become a leader. We wanted to pick topics that would educate them on the history as well as where we've come from and where to go from here. So that they have a good foundation and they'll be inspired to want to advocate themselves.
Many of our students had not done a whole lot of advocacy before, and so we knew we had to start with the basics.
Mm-hmm. And where did you get the ideas for your training activities, you know, the outlines, what those basics were?
We did a lot of talking to other people, to our staff members, to the consumers, of course. And just from experiencing disability in our own lives, we knew we knew what we needed to teach to learn to teach leadership skills.
Great. I'm going to remind you, really quickly, Dina, just a moment. I'm going to remind folks to please mute your phone if you're not talking because we are getting some background noise. So Dina, go ahead.
Oh, no. Go
on. So what types of research did you do?
We did some research on the internet, stuff, past trainings. We got a lot of our information from past training, YouTube, webinars, videos. We just picked out the topic we wanted and found the best information on those topics and put them together.
That's really great. That's what I'm hearing from you. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, we drew from a lot of the trainings that we had, the handouts that were given to us during the trainings, and as Dina said, the YouTube videos are very helpful.
That's great, and I'm hearing a lot about. I really like the community feedback and the consumer feedback that you did in reaching out to other staff members at the ILC, but then also taking the debrief from yourself and the lessons that you had learned, and taking a look at what types of trainings and skills that you needed in your own journey to become advocates. So that introspective look married with the outreach to other people and seeing what their needs are and bringing that all together, as well as all of the resource materials, the online stuff, the past training handouts, videos, things like that. How long did it take you to consider all that stuff before you started to plan?
It took probably, a good 4 months.
Uh-huh.
It takes longer than you think.
Yeah.
Because you always hit, a brick wall when you think you're going in a direction and then it doesn't pan out like you thought it would. And you have to, change gears and find, good resources, not just, phony, silly references and stuff.
Great. So now that we have a sense of how you got where you got the idea and how you got started, and taking that time, that 4 months, to consider all these things so that you were getting it right and everything, let's talk a little bit about how you prepared for the class, and as class day is coming up. So how did you put together the materials for your class participants, Dina, and what types of materials did you put into those folders and binders?
Well, Cynde and I decided that we wanted to give each student their own folder. So during the research, we found a bunch. We put them all together and put it in the agenda so that they were an overlook of the whole course. We have a calendar outline of the course and the online materials so that they have a copy of everything. And we make each student a folder so that they have all the materials that we spoke about in the classes.
And we also did large print because we had a few people that needed the larger print. So we also had that available at every class.
And did you have an electronic format available as well, or were you doing your accommodations based upon request?
We did do it based on request. We could have done it quite easily, though.
Okay, great. Now here's the tricky question, because there's always things that we never really think about in putting something like this together. So what kind of logistics did you have to put together, Cynde?
Well, first we had to find a room that was large enough, and we had to make sure that space had internet access. So we started out in our conference room, where we knew we had internet access, but then the first class, the room was too small. We had way too many students. So then we had to find another room in our building. We did hold the class in our building, which is very close to many bus lines, because we are downtown Los Angeles. And so then when we decided that the room was too small, we moved to a larger conference room downstairs. And for a while, we had internet access, and then I don't know what happened, but halfway through the course, we couldn't get internet access anymore. But by that time, some of the students had dropped off, and so we were able to use our smaller conference room later on.
Great. Now, how did you? It sounds to me like transportation is really an important thing for you. And did you go for a location that was there at Cal Life or in the same building, or did you look around for other locations that were close to transportation as well?
We really considered our office only because in case we needed some supplies or something, we couldn't be dragging them around the community. But now that we've done this, we do think we can take it on the road. So we are exploring that.
Okay, great. That's really awesome, and I understand the need to be close to that. Those logistical things like more binders, more folders, highlighters, pens, and all of that. And how did you solve the technology situation with internet?
Okay, well, we downloaded the videos that we could, and then also Dina and I are not capable of running the projector and all that sort of thing, so we had to have a staff person help us out with the AT aspect of our class, and luckily we have people that know how to do that. So I think it worked out pretty well.
Great, that's awesome. So you found that you needed to ask for help and get more people involved with the logistics.
Yes, we did, and it was a real. It was a challenge at first to make sure that everybody had what they needed, but with the the staff person who was able to use their hands, we got everything accomplished.
That's cool. So before we move on, was there anything that surprised you or things that just really stand out that were not things that you thought about in advance?
I was able to get the internet issue. We pretty much thought that's why I took it so long, sitting and I thought everything, but when it comes to technology, things just happen that we weren't prepared for.
Which we demonstrated this morning, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, we always have some sort of technical thing to do on the fly.
Yeah, so rehearsal is always a good thing. Maybe
Rehearsal.
More than one time.
Yeah, rehearsal's really important. All right, so we're going to move on here. Go ahead, Dina.
I was just going to say the good thing about asking for help is we got one of our other staff members involved too. And he was a great help with the class, which helped us also getting more consumers involved in the class as well.
Great. So now that you've got all your materials together, you're working through your logistics and everything, you need people to take the class, right? So Sid, how did you get the word out about the class? How did you do the marketing?
There's a lot of different ways to do that. Well, first we came up with the name of the course, which was Leadership Through Advocacy. We wanted something catchy that would spark someone's interest. So then we made a flyer, and we made hard copies and electronic version also. So we sent it out. Oh my goodness! We sent it out email blast. We used our website, our center website. Our center also has a Facebook page. We put it there. We had flyers. All the staff people had flyers. We made a lot of phone calls of people that were active with our center as volunteers, and pretty much anybody's phone number we had, we called them up. We also gave the staff people our flyers to take on outreach, the community outreach that they did, and that was very successful. So it's a real challenge to get as many contacts as possible. We also use the SCNet website.
Your mic's not on, Ted.
Sorry about that. I had
God.
turned my mic off, and I just turned it back on. I didn't realize my mic was not on. So, Dina, where did you advertise your class?
Well, I think that I made flyers, and we put it pretty much everywhere. We put it on the front desk so that every time consumers came in, the front desk person would tell them about the class. We put them on the wall around the office, outside in the hallway. We gave it to the bullet support around the office. We give it to the staff members so that when they went to outreach, they take the fight with them so they help people in the community. And we put them on the cup for like Cynde. So we put them on, and we put them on Facebook like Cynde. So we did a lot of that. We could take months and months to get people involved. And then just before the class, we would have during the class day on Facebook to the ones who had the class day close.
It's very important to be persistent because you'll ask someone and they'll say, yeah, I'd like to do that, but then they don't show up. So a lot of follow-up needs to be done in order to actually get people to the class.
Yeah, that's really, really important. You have to really be persistent with it, don't you?
Yeah, you really do.
Now, did you
because people forget or
yeah, did you ask anyone to help you advertise the class or to recruit people?
Yeah, a couple of our coalition partners, which would be California Partnership and CARA. We did ask those two groups.
And what about your fellow staff at the ILC?
Oh, absolutely. The staff told all of their consumers about it, and they had flyers, and they helped make phone calls also.
That's great. And so it sounds like you had to make phone calls to people, so you had to directly ask people to attend. How many times did you have to call people, and who did you call?
We have a mailing list, and we kind of chose some of the people that are frequent visitors of our center. And then we have fans on our Facebook page. We contacted them directly. And some of our own private friends, we even called them to get the word out.
That's great. No.
The one good thing about Facebook.
Go ahead, Dina.
The one good thing about Facebook. The one good thing about Facebook is that when we advertise on Facebook, friends of friends would see that they were going to take class. They were signed up on Facebook, and they would see that they were going to take class. So that's food of interest too.
That's cool. Social media is so important and such an important aspect. How many people do you think you reached or you signed up through social media like Facebook or Twitter?
Maybe half.
Wow.
I think about maybe half. Yeah, it takes a lot of effort though. It takes a lot of time. It's worth it.
Just a couple more questions on this, and then we're going to move on. I want to kind of go back. You had said something about that you went through your lists and decided who you were going to call. How did you make that decision? What were you looking for going through your consumer and volunteer lists and deciding who it was that was going to get a phone call?
I think we chose them by conversations that we've had with them about different issues that they're facing in their life, and about their and also their interest in doing advocacy.
Some consumers would routinely show up at different rallies and stuff, so we knew that they were interested in advocacy itself, so that why not foster their interest and bring them into the class.
And also through workshops that we've had at our center, we have a list of people who attend our workshops and other community meetings. So that's a good indication that they would come to a class at our center if they would come up to these other events.
That's great. You know, that's really cool how you saved data from other events, other sign-in lists. You know, so you know that they're the type of people that will come forward and will take, you know, participate in an event or a class, and you can use that as a checklist when you're checking your own consumer and volunteer list, knowing, oh, I know that this person's an advocate style person, this person likes trainings, that type of stuff. So maintaining and retaining and maintaining that type of data sounds like it was really, really important for you. How long did it take for you to market? I asked you how long before the planning was. Now, how long was the marketing period of time to get people together?
Oh, that took a few months too. How many months did you say, Dina? At least 2. You're right.
Once we came up with the date that we were going to start the class, Cynde and I started immediately putting in Facebook and sending her flyers immediately.
That's great, and we'll touch a little bit later on how many people you reached out to and how many people you got. But we're going to move on to the next part, and that is actually we're going to move on to the talk about that right now. We're going to move on to the organizer's rule of halves. And so, Sid and Dina, how many people do you think you actually reached out to, and how many people did you get to show up and take part in the class?
I think we reached out to several hundred, wouldn't you say, Dina?
Definitely.
And then when the class finally started, we had 14 or 15 people.
15.
We had 15 people that actually showed up at the first class.
That's cool. That's good. So that sounds like you really applied that organizer's rule of halves. And for those of you who are new to this concept, the rule of half is half of half of half. So if you want to have 10 to 12 people participate in an event or a training, you need to really confirm about 25. And if you want to confirm 25, then you need to sign up 50 people. And if you want 50 people, you need to invite at least 100. Because what happens is that if you invite 100 people, when you talk to them, about half of them will sign up. And then when you make a phone call back to those 50 people that you signed up, about half of them are going to confirm. They're going to tell you, oh, I forgot it was my anniversary, I forgot it was my birthday, you know, I'm doing something else now, I'm doing advocacy with a different organization, you know, for a whole bunch of different reasons. And you just kind of keep moving forward without judgment and realizing that's kind of how things go. And then when it comes to the day of the event, about half actually show up. So you can see the numbers on the screen right there. And that's a good rule to live by, and it sounds like you did a really great job of thinking ahead, thinking that you needed time, and really connecting with people in a diverse set of ways, by flyers, by social media, by email, by direct personal connection, and using several different avenues to connect with hundreds of people. In applying the length of time that was needed and the organizer's rule of halves. So great work. So now let's talk about the classes themselves. Tell us about your schedule of class topics and how you came up with them.
Is that me or Dina?
Either one.
Oh, all right. Well, we did do a survey of consumers, and then we asked our staff people, and we drew from our own experience of what was best for us when we were learning advocacy skills.
And from there, we decided to come up with 10 classes, very basic organizing material, ADA information, the history of ADA. We included some speakers to make it interesting, and one field trip that involved the legislative visit to keep people involved and engaged.
That's great, Dina. I mean, it sounds like you really took a very inclusive direction of getting information from a variety of sources and then put some good thought into putting it together. So what I'm hearing from you is that you surveyed the people who would be taking the class. You brought into your own experience into consideration as advocates, thinking we're listening to them about what they want, and we're going to marry that with what we as advocates know they need. As well as hearing from other sources in the professional world and the advocacy world about what they thought. How long did it take you to put this schedule together?
Really, that part was probably the shortest time period. It didn't really. Once we decided, what topics we wanted to cover, it didn't really take that long to put the list together.
And how did you feel about
we knew
this
we had
list?
We knew we had to cover the basics, because most of the people that would be coming to the class really had not done any advocacy before. So we needed to start from the beginning. And we've been there, both Dina and I. And then we also thought about the trainings that we had in the past and what the topics that they covered. So that gave us a clue as to what we should cover too.
We also wanted to focus on knowledge like AD and history group. We also knew that as an advocate you need some skills in advocating, such as speaking in front of people as well. So we wanted to give the students that knowledge as well.
We also know there's a lot of misinformation about our civil rights and disabilities. So we really wanted to do a lot of education on that, such as the ADA, the HAVA, IDEA.
So how is this list of topics received by your students? Did they feel like it was complete and that they were ready for advocacy at the end?
Oh, they're raring to go. They couldn't wait to start.
That's awesome.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, the most attended class of the whole course was Disability History, Disability Pride, and that was a whole lot of fun.
It was interesting because Cynde and I thought we wanted them to interesting. How do we include them? When something the topic is really going to violate history, we put activities in each class to make it more interesting and more interactive, and help a lot of follow the real-life situation.
Yeah, I think interactive is very important.
We had very good discussions towards the last part of the class, and I think it was very well received. I think that the proof of that is they really stuck with the class. We only had like 2 or 3 people drop off.
Cool. So now that you've started your class, you've scheduled them, and you've gotten started, was there anything that you needed to do right away in your first class, Sid?
Yes, there's several housekeeping things that need to be handled, and the first one was emergency. In case of emergency, we told everyone how to exit the building, or in our case, we're on the 2nd floor. So if someone could not make it down the stairs, we instructed them what to do, where to go in the building to be safe. And then we also have to emphasize that all of our building and all of our programs are are sent to freeze, because many people do have sensitivity to various chemicals. And then we also had a form for them to sign to make sure that we could take photographs of them. We needed their permission to take photographs for purposes of advertising the class and such. So that is a must. You need to do that right away.
And I see on here that you've got the rules to meet by peacefully.
Oh, that's right. There was rules to meet by peacefully. That is extremely important for good communication and for cohesion of the team members.
Can you tell us about those rules?
To respect everyone. We need to respect everyone's opinion, not to interrupt each other when someone is speaking. Did you hand that out?
Yeah, it is in the handout. Yeah, okay. So everyone does have that.
And that was well received. We had a good discussion about respect, and also we several of our team members use assistive technology in order to communicate. And I think you can talk about that, Dina.
Yeah, we on the first class, along with the rules, we made very clear that everyone had different ways of communicating. And the last one in the class, about 3-4 of our students used assistive technology in order to speak. We wanted to make a very friendly environment to the patients and for everyone to express their views through their own ways of communication.
So we emphasize patience when communicating with each other, and we talk about the various ways of communicating.
That's great. That's absolutely wonderful. So now we're going to move on here to the next slide and talk about the format for your classes. Was there an agenda or format that you followed each week?
Yeah, we stuck with a basic format, so we have some consistency in our class. So we first we started out with the introduction. And then
we talked about the topic of the week, each week with a different topic. We talked about it a little bit, and then we have a video that we have found on YouTube that we showed the class. And then afterwards, we had handout discussing the topic, and then we come up with questions. Cynde and I come up with questions to stimulate the conversation. However, through a lot of the classes, we didn't have to, because they were just so interested and enthralled in the topic. They had so many questions. It was wonderful.
Yeah, the conversation was pretty much started organically. We didn't really need a lot of prompting, and they were very verbal, and it was great.
That's great. Now we have a picture on the slide, and the picture is of Cynde in her wheelchair with two other folks in wheelchairs and one other person standing, and they're talking. And Cynde, do you want to tell us what's going on in this picture?
Okay, that was a photo taken after one of the sessions, and they were showing me how much they were enjoying what they were learning, and they were raring to go. But they were, I think all three of them used communication devices in order to communicate. So that was a lot of fun, actually.
That sounds great. And I know that you had some guest speakers at a lot of your classes. So why did you engage guest speakers for your classes, Cynde?
A couple of reasons, and that is, well, we had 3 guest speakers, and they were already prepared to speak on the subjects that we were having them come to speak to our class about. They already had presentations put together. That they are community partners. We wanted to engage community partners in our class so that the students could to meet them, learn about our partners, and so it saved us a lot of energy too. That's important, and it would just be more effective if someone that's an expert would talk about a different subject. We also helped them. They have goals of how many people they need to educate. So we helped them by giving them numbers to count and who they educated, and then we saved some energy and time by trying to create something that was already created.
The next question is for Dina. Dina, who did you invite to join your class as a guest speaker?
We invited Dr. Canterbury from Clear on California line to return to American. She came and spoke about community organizing. She really engaged everyone in the class. It was phenomenal. But they all were phenomenal. And we had Ashton Campbell from California Partnership spoke about the legislative process and how they become the law and do it all the time. And there were lots of questions for each of the speakers at the end. And then our pastor from St. Edward's and Julie Watson came and spoke about organizing as well. They all loved all the speakers. It brought a lot of interaction to the class.
Jamie Watson is a former systems change advocate, and she's a friend of mine. So I told her how the class was going, and she thought it sounded really exciting, so she wanted to be part of that. So she said, well, I'll come in and I'll help facilitate a meeting, and it went very well, and she's very excited about that. She's come back again, and it's very important to engage any ally we can in the community to help us do our work.
Wonderful. And on the slide here, we do have a picture. It's from the back of the room at one of the classes, and there's a person standing up in the front who I'm assuming is a facilitator or guest speaker. And it looks like there's about 10 or 15 people sitting and listening to the guest speaker. And Dina or Cynde, could you tell us what's going on in this photo?
In the class they're listening to one of the speakers that Ashton Campbell. She's from California Partnership, and she was speaking about the legislative process, and she was up there in the very left top corner of the picture. She's pointing to a PowerPoint, and everyone's taking notes on what she's speaking. And she had lots and lots of questions at the end. It was awesome.
Cool. So, how did you engage different teaching techniques targeted to different types of learners?
Well, we kept everything pretty basic. We didn't really know the learning capabilities or their prior knowledge, other than they were probably didn't know a whole lot about what we were teaching. So we just kept it simple and to the point, and we use a lot of visuals because since everyone learns differently. And we just pretty much played it by ear.
I think that a mixture of the video, the speaking, the discussion, as well as my tutor during some of the classes, it was pretty well rounded. They pretty much encompass any kind of person, all different learning styles. So if they had a hard time with one aspect, they would follow up on the next section.
And so I know that you all did a field trip and you decided to get out of the classroom and learning, putting learning into practice. And so tell us about that field trip. What kind of activities did you employ to put this learning into practice?
Well, first we did go to we made a legislative visit, but before that we had to prepare the students for the visit. So we had a class on public speaking and another one on how to make a legislative visit. And I believe only one of our students had actually done one before, so they were kind of nervous.
We had to take them homework. They had to go home and write their story in 1 to 2 minutes so that they learn how to tell the story in the time frame of a legislative visit. So they learn writing skills too, how they concisely tell the story.
I love the fact that you talk about their story. So it was about their story and not a story that you gave them.
Oh no, that wouldn't have worked if we would have told them what to say. No. We just said how to tell your story, but not what your story was.
We feel like they will also feel more power. They will feel more empowered by advocacy if they're telling their own story, and they be able to tell the different points of the issue if they were involved.
Another interesting thing about it was that all three of the speakers used communication devices in order to communicate. So I've never done that before with all the speakers not being able to verbalize with their voice.
And how was that received by the staff in the legislative visit?
It was awesome. I was really surprised, to be honest with you. We have a good rapport with the legislature. I wasn't sure how patient they were going to be. But not only did they listen to their stories, but they also they knew that this was a class that we were doing. So they brought educational material too, and they taught the students the legislative process. And we were in there for 45 minutes. It was amazing.
Yeah, the legislative staff were very patient and very attentive.
And it sounds to me like this wasn't really a visit about policy. This was a visit for folks to educate them about their lives. And so when they were telling their stories and everything, they were educating these staff members of a policymaker about the issues that are important to them personally. So it really was an educational visit. Is that correct?
That's right. We were not asking for anything. It was just more of an introduction and how the different programs affect the lives of people with disabilities. So it was definitely educational for everybody involved, really.
And did you prepare the legislative staff in any way to let them know that not only were you coming to educate them about these people's issues, but that this was part of a class experience?
Yes, we did. We wrote them a letter and we called them on the phone. I spoke to the staff. We explained to them what we were doing, and because we knew them in the office, it was easier. They were happy to help us. They asked that we called them like a month in advance to make sure we were able to come, and they were more than helpful. They were so excited actually to want to help.
Great, and I understand that because it was part of a class that the staff actually had educational materials for the participants on the legislative process. Is that correct?
Yes, they actually sat down with us and they explained to the students the difference between the state legislature versus the city legislature and which office will go to for which issue and how a bill becomes a law. And they were very patient and very willing to help and wanting to hear the story.
That's great. I'm just going to remind folks again, if you are on the line and you're not speaking right now we're speaking with Cynde and Dina. Please mute your phones. We will have a question and answer period coming up soon, so and we'll have an opportunity for questions. So tell us a little bit about the final class and the graduation ceremony.
That was a lot of fun. We contacted the board president and we told him about our class, and he agreed to come to congratulate the graduates. We had our executive director that was also there. We had refreshments and diplomas, little certificates of completion for everyone.
And we had asked students to come up with something to say about their feelings about the class and their accomplishments in 1 to 2 minutes. One minute presentation. So when they came up and shook our hands, they would say how they feel about the class. It's wonderful. It's a lot of fun.
And we also have.
That way they got to.
Go ahead.
Okay, they got to practice their speaking in public in that way. Even though we were all friends, they still got to practice that and to say a little bit about their story and to practice public speaking.
So we have a picture on this slide again, and it's a picture of a three-dimensional pyramid. And Sid, can you tell us about this pyramid, what it is, and how did it play a role in the graduation ceremony in the final class?
Well, we have this three-dimensional pyramid, and we have little tiny paper stars with a little glue on the back of it. And then the pyramid is divided into 3 different sections. One is, the top is the most active volunteer, the middle is somewhat active, and the bottom is not too active, but they'll show up for an event. So we gave everyone a star, and they placed their star with their initials on it. They placed it on the pyramid, at the top of the pyramid, of course, because they are very active participants now in our advocacy team.
That's great, and the pyramid is something that we've all heard quite a bit about. It's a technique that we use in the Systems Change Network, and it has really come from some national organizing models that I've used and other people in the network have used when we're talking about our folks that we're organizing with. And we're going to talk about the pyramid a little bit more in just a moment, but we do have 3 pictures up on the screen right now. One is of the wall decorations for the graduation class. The next one is a picture of folks at the graduation class. It looks like someone is walking through. I don't know if that's one of the class participants. Maybe they're doing the graduation walk. And then there's a picture of Sid and Dina. And Sid and Dina, can you tell us what's happening in this photo where everyone's sitting down and someone's walking past? Are they doing the graduation walk there?
Yes, one of the participants just received their certificate and they're walking by. They're shaking the hands of our board president. It was a petition of Cynde and I, a couple of the staff that helped us on the class, the board president, and the leaders, our executive director. And she's right now shaking the hand of our board president.
And she's holding her certificate in her other hand.
Great. So we want to reflect a little bit on participant motivation and your reflections on the preparations and the carrying out of this particular class. You did an incredible job of training people and everything. So is there anything else that you would like us to know about in how you put this class together?
Start early in your outreach to make sure you have enough people to participate in your course.
And engage each person, find out what they want in the course, and if they feel like they have an invested interest, then they make them more interested in attending the course.
I would like to say that one of our students primarily spoke Korean, so we have a Korean outreach worker here, and so she sat in on the class with this young man and did our translation, and she also translated our written material for us. So language access is very important.
That's great. The first two things that you said about outreach, making sure you have your outreach beginning early and that you have enough people to participate in the course and finding out what they want in the course, that really goes to participant motivation, and that's such an important part of doing outreach. I understand, that you employed the one-on-one conversation when doing your outreach, speaking to people one-on-one, finding out, digging through the layers of a conversation about what motivates them and why it motivates them, and so that you could make a connection to that person and discover their motivation and share your own motivation as well. Do you think that that really helped you when you were making those phone calls and inviting people to the class?
It really does, because if people will, follow or agree to participate with others if they like you. And in order to get someone to like you, you have to know something about them, have a little chit chat, try to relate to them on their level and with their interests. So yeah, it's really very important in order for them to stick with the activity that you're doing.
Great. And we just kind of want to review the trainers 1, 2, 3 rule. This is another organizing model that's been used in campaigns across the country, and a lot of folks that I know and respect really stick to this. And again, it's something that I try and stick to, but it doesn't always happen in our busy world. But for every hour of training that you do, you want to do 2 hours of rehearsal and 3 hours of writing and research. So even though the training might be 5 hours or 1 day or 2 days, you really do double that amount of time in rehearsing and triple that amount of time in writing and doing research and preparing. Did the two of you find that this pretty much sums up your research and your rehearsal for your training?
Yeah, that really does. You're very good at summing things up, Ted.
So you feel like you spent double the amount of time rehearsing and triple the amount of time writing and researching?
Yeah, researching takes a while. What's the thing?
Yeah, I would say that they definitely, the researching and the training is the bulk of the work. Once you get that all together, the rest just falls in place.
And we want to make sure that we have current and up-to-date information that we're giving out. For instance, the law changes all the time. The ADA has changed, so we had to make sure that we had the updated information. That's very important.
All right, so I'm just going to go back really quickly here to review the pyramid. And in your handouts, there is a description of what this pyramid is and what it means. But Sid talked about how their advocacy team members have placed stars on the different levels of the pyramid. And the top level of that pyramid are your leaders, your folks who are going to think of this as a part-time job and make a commitment in your advocacy team to take on responsibility. The second tier down in the middle is folks who make a commitment to being regular volunteers. They may not share responsibility, but they'll show up on a regular basis to take part in actions and the preparation for actions. And then the bottom tier is really a great group of people who don't have the availability or the time to make the greater commitment, but they're going to show up for your actions and they're going to participate in your events, and you can count on them to be there. And what's so important about this pyramid that I think is really great, and especially the way Sid and Dina did it as part of their class and making it part of the graduation, is that folks self-identify for you where they want to be in this pyramid. And when they do that, you can hold them accountable. When they self-identify that they want to be on that top tier of the pyramid, you can go back to them and you know, really talk to them about responsibility and what the accountability is for responsibility and so on. So Sid and Dina, like I said, I think you have done an incredible job, and I was very, very excited when we were talking originally about doing this training. And here we have an example of the pyramid, the responsibility for advocacy, regular advocacy helpers, or they join advocacy events. And I'm excited for your team. And so now we're to the end, and we're going to open the floor to questions and answers. I will send the handout out to folks as soon as we finish the webinar. But if you have questions on the phone, go ahead and unmute your phones, and we'll go for people asking questions. And then raise your hand if you're on the webinar, and I will call on you to ask your question. So does anyone have any questions on the phone?
My name is Stephanie. I have a question regarding the marketing. Granted that you said like at least half will show up. Now what I'm analyzing and thinking that to not exceed with the amount told, are you to know how many flyers and how the cost, are you going more than a little bit over the 100, or how do you know how much to spend on the marketing? How do you develop that for your expenditure part, for the funding?
Sid, do you want to answer that?
No. Okay. Sure. Yeah. Well, our center, has a line item for community outreach. So yes, we did do several hundred flyers, hard copies, and then electronic. We sent out probably more. You have to remind people constantly.
Great.
Oh, yeah, for you, maybe the expense.
Yeah, but I would say a general rule is that if you want to have about 15 people at an event, then you probably need to plan on somewhere around 150 to 200 flyers. Does anyone else on the phone line have any questions? All right, and so what about anyone on the webinar? Does anyone have any questions that they'd like to ask Sid or Dina? Well, thank you for participating in today's webinar. We would appreciate it if you would share your experience with us by completing the survey. Your feedback is highly valued, and participation is greatly appreciated for our future webinar opportunities. When you exit the webinar platform, a pop-up training survey window will appear, so keep an eye out for it. And don't forget about the SCNet training library. Our archived webinar of today's training webinar is being recorded and will be available in 3 to 5 business days. Because we are entering the Thanksgiving holiday weekend, it may be the end of next week. So keep an eye out for that as well, so that you can share it with your friends and your fellow advocates. And don't forget that the Systems Change Network is organizing the disability community on the web at www.scnetca.org. Check us out on Facebook just by doing a search for SCNet. We're on Twitter at SC Network, and you can follow us and we can follow you. And then also check out our Yelp page. SCNet CA is our name on Yelp, where you can join us in yelping about accommodations and access at all sorts of different types of businesses for people with disabilities. Thank you very much today, and I look forward to seeing you at the next Systems Change Network training, and have a wonderful holiday. Thank you very much.